Well, good afternoon, everyone. Faster my. I've now got the power of fear running right through me, so thank you for that one. Normally, I'm quite good at public speaking, but Cam and I together, I think we'll be all right. We'll be all right. So I'm just going to give a quick state of the Maritime, and then I'm going to join Cameron over on the chairs. So it's a real privilege to be here at the Inter-Celtic Business Forum, bringing together Celtic nations, connecting not only by history, culture, but by a deep and enduring relationship with the sea. Across all the Celtic nations, Scotland, Wales, Cornwall, Brittany, Ireland, Isle of Man, our maritime heritage runs through everything we are. Our maritime heritage, for generations, the sea has been our highway, our livelihood, and our connection to the wider world. It has shaped our economies, our communities, and our identities. And while the heritage is something we are rightly proud of, it is also something we must build upon together. For the Isle of Man, maritime remains our lifeline. But, like all our nations, we are navigating a period of transformation, driven by digitalization, decarbonization, and changing global demands. The question is not whether maritime will change, but how we as Celtic nations respond to that change collectively. Over the past year, Isle of Man Maritime has taken an important step in shaping the future through the development of 4 dedicated hubs. These hubs are designed not only to strengthen our own maritime sector, but to create opportunities of collaboration across our Celtic partners. The first of these is the Digital Hub, focused on innovation, smart shipping, and the technologies that will define the next generation of maritime. Across Celtic nations, we have strong digital capabilities, research institutions, and entrepreneurial spirit. By connecting these strengths, we can position our region at the forefront of maritime innovation, creating solutions that not only affect but are exportable to the global market. The second is our Skills Hub, because at the heart of maritime are people. Across all our nations, we face shared challenges, attracting new entrants, retaining talent, and broadening understanding of what a maritime career looks like today. From seafaring to shore-based roles in law, technology, sustainability, finance, and there's huge opportunity in all areas of maritime. But by aligning our training, pathways, and promoting maritime collectively, we can inspire the next generation across our communities. The third is our Super Yacht Hub, where the Isle of Man has built a strong reputation, but this is also a space of collaboration across Celtic nations, and we can unlock greater value. Our coasts offer unique cruising grounds, rich culture, and distinct experiences. By working together, we can promote the Celtic region as a premium, sustainable destination, but also a place to do business. One that celebrates both heritage and innovation. And finally, our Business Hub reflects the depth of expertise that exists across our region, from ship registries to finance to legal, insurance, CSPs, and technical services, and bringing together with one voice to amplify the Isle of Man, but also the Celtic nations collectively, representing a powerful network of maritime capability. But strengthening these connections, we can enhance our global competitiveness while supporting regional growth. What underpins all 4 hubs is a shared belief that collaboration across the Celtic nations will be key to our future success. The Irish Sea remains essential to that story, not as a dividing line, but as a vital connector between many of us. It is a working sea, a shared space, and a symbol of how closely linked our futures are. But beyond it, our vision is broader, a connected Celtic maritime community that works together, learns from each other, and grows together. Because the challenges we face, sustainability, skills shortages, technological change, are not unique to one nation, and neither are the opportunities. By strengthening our partnerships, sharing our knowledge and promoting our collective strengths, we can ensure that the maritime continues to thrive, not just as an industry, but as a defining part of our identity. So, this is a moment for collaboration, a moment to look beyond our individual shores and recognize the strengths that our shared maritime heritage and future. Isle of Man is proud to play its part in that journey, and we look forward to working closely with all of you in building a vibrant and sustainable and connected Celtic maritime community. And with that, it gives me great pleasure to introduce someone who represents one of the island's most globally recognized maritime successes. Please join me in welcoming Cameron Mitchell from the Isle of Man Ship Registry. Hello, Cam.
Hello. Thank you, Lee.
So just to put into context, I'm a decky, he's an engineer, so we don't know how this is going to work out. And for anyone that knows shipboard sort of terminology, we don't get along normally, right? So this is going to be good. So Cameron, I just mentioned that the Isle of Man Ship Registry, and it is really important to say that I can go anywhere with this pin, and the Isle of Man Ship Registry, I'm recognized, and I have to say no, I'm actually from Isle of Man Maritime. But could you just give some insight into the ship registry?
Yeah, so an international registry since 1984. The first Cat 1 registry, or second registry, to the UK. And we're an international registry. We're not a national registry. So we are a member of the Red Ensign group of British flags. We run an efficient, effective, quality service that our clients enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, one of the greatest things that when I was at sea is going into a port and seeing Douglas on the back and seeing our Red Ensign. It is actually quite amazing to see the breadth of how our little island is recognized globally.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's by accident. Those people that envisioned creating an international registry back in 1984 did it to diversify the Manx economy, to encourage maritime to the Isle of Man, to encourage inward investment. The sole purpose really of the ship registry is to act as that nucleus for maritime business on the Isle of Man. So we sit in the centre, we provide the regulatory framework, the policy, innovation, in some cases, which supports that maritime community locally, but also internationally. We register ships, yachts of any size. We support TCSPs on the island with yacht management capability. Company structure, special purpose vehicles through the Isle of Man for the ownership of ships and yachts. So I think those companies that came on that maritime journey with us also enhanced the reputation of what the Isle of Man Ship Registry now looks like.
Yeah, and certainly the Isle of Man maritime sector as a whole, I think, definitely grew off the back of the success of the ship registry. And how do you see sort of the maritime sector on the island now?
Very diverse, which is good. I mean, traditionally, in the early 80s and from 1984 to about 1994, early 2000s, predominantly ship management activity. So all of the big ship managers that you could think of from around the world had offices in technical management through the Isle of Man. As you know, we didn't have Isle of Man Maritime at that stage. We had the old Isle of Man Shipowners Association. But times change, economies change, resources change, labour costs change. So shipping moved around the world, and so did those ship management companies. We were very fortunate that in the place of those ship management companies, we had new technology, we had IT, we had innovation, we had insurance, TCSPs, crewing agencies still in the Isle of Man. So although our maritime sector has changed, it is much more diverse.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in this role coming up to 5 years now, which is crazy. It is. And certainly last year, we sort of had to, as an organization, look at ourselves and what we could offer. And there was a bit of sort of, we had a couple of companies exit. But then all of a sudden, when we started to look inward and go, actually, what does the Isle of Man offer? I got this light bulb moment, and that's what spurred on the hubs. The hubs were the ones that all of a sudden floated to the surface and went, actually, these are our strengths. And when we put it to everyone, I think everyone sort of went, wow, we actually offer a lot here on the island. And so certainly within that digital space, with the sort of the industry changing, and this is sort of one of the themes that I think we've been seeing today is this emergence of AI, and I'm starting to grin because I'm interested to see what's the registry's view on the AI, what's the maritime scope in AI?
Scopeless, I would say. I think AI will and is being applied to every aspect of maritime, be that regulation, writing regulation. I know that it's happening with some practice now. System architecture, the development of autonomous ships, autonomous shipping. I think there is an argument where through your ESGs, the environmental side of things, I think AI can be better, can be more sustainable in a lot of ways. But I do have concerns about the social impact and the social element of ESG. We should use AI to enable process alignment, efficiencies, all of those types of things. I think we have to be very careful about how we use AI to replace individuals and that social impact of that.
And one of the things that I was at Copenhagen Maritime Week a couple of weeks ago, and I think one of the things that the ship, within the ESG scope, the ship is always the bad guy. They're the ones pumping out what is perceived as all of this. And yet on the next panel, they were talking about AI and how great it is. But there is sort of an economic, environment issue around how much water and how much power that they were using to generate this. So, I think as a regulator, is this something that you're going to be taking forward?
I think from an autonomous ship point of view, mass ships, as the IMO now call them, that's happening. The guidelines will soon be with us. I think the Isle of Man can offer opportunities, I hope, for test areas around the Isle of Man for autonomous ships. I don't think we'll see autonomous ships replace our traditional shipping in my lifetime. In fact, I'm sure we won't within my lifetime. But there will be a place for it. There certainly is a place for it. As a registry, we will monitor what the IMO is doing. Interestingly, it's a good point to make. As a regulator, we convert international legislation into national legislation. We have to. We're obliged to do that to meet the III code obligations, the IMO's Instruments Implementation Code obligations. What we can't do is anything out of statute. So the statutory powers we have are to implement international legislation. So we can't go beyond that. So if the IMO comes out with new guidelines, new code, new practice on AI, then we can obviously implement that into our national legislation.
Yeah, I suppose what you also mentioned early on, and this comes back to Brendan's point in terms of this living lab. I suppose we are in the best position at the moment because the technology is not there, but we could sort of generate that test bed. I got told off once. I think it was Chris or Brendan shouted at me for saying test bed, but it is sort of this ability that we can test these future technologies on the island because we have that adaptability within regulation and our own waters.
Yeah, and the digital element of that, or the data element of that, we've got great connectivity in the Isle of Man. So I think we're perfectly situated to do it. It just needs the right people to come together. You mentioned collaboration at the start. I think for maritime, this decade in particular will probably be a decade of collaboration if we succeed. And we'll need it to succeed.
And that brings me, now we're in a room with all our Celtic friends, you know, I think us coming together is important now more than ever. And the Isle of Man does have sort of good relationships with Mersey Maritime, with Nemo. You know, can we utilize our Celtic friends more?
Yeah, I think we should.
Yep.
I think we, together or combined, we have a lot more leverage into markets, leverage into collaborative efforts. So I think that should be top of the agenda, really.
And where do you also see, beyond AI and autonomous vessels, what other opportunities are in maritime that could come from this?
I think maritime generally is woken up to the realization that sustainability, environmental impact, carbon neutrality are all part of the day-to-day parcel now of what you have to achieve. I think the more it comes into regulation, I think the more disruption it will cause. Where there is disruption, there is also areas of opportunity. You just have to be positioned in the right place at the right time. So I think we have that opportunity to get our positioning right.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes back to that sort of collaboration. Again, sort of when I came in, the island, as a sector, we were very insular looking. We were sort of looking, sort of Isle of Man Maritime was very looking inward. And the moment that we sort of broke that mold and attending likes of London International Shipping Week and all of these events and starting to open up our work with Mersey Maritime, Nemo, I've seen a huge difference now, and I think that's been really pivotal to where we are now in terms of that collaboration work with our partners.
Yeah, so, I mean, I completely agree. We've always been in the position of collaborating locally, I suppose, or acting as that nucleus and supporting business on the island, but I'm an international flag. So my client base is mostly based in Asia. 10, 15 years ago, probably Europe. Now my client base is Asian. Well, 65% of it, I would say. So we also have to support and collaborate overseas internationally, which we do well.
Yeah, so I mean, it's very clear, and just with the last minute or so, that, you know, we're open. The Isle of Man is looking for how we can work with our partners. We have our Isle of Man Maritime Conference on the 16th of July. So if you like the island and want to come back, please do so. It's going to be great, so visit maritime.im. And it is really going to be centered around what is the possible, what can we do? Because there's so much opportunity out there, and it is a bit daunting with AI and all these new technologies. And the other success story, which I really wanted to highlight, and I talked about the skills and seafarers, is that, you know, for a small island, we run one of the most, probably the most effective cadet program funded through the ship registry, and we're investing back into young people. We do the Tall Ship Initiative, where we get our young people. Last year we had 24 Manx youth. Bearing in mind that one or two of them said that, thank you for the opportunity, but I never want to go to sea again in my life. But that life opportunity was fantastic to them. And out of that, we had 20 Manx kids go over to Fleetwood Nautical College to just have an experience. So we're also investing in our seafarers as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that we are delighted to support is the Isle of Man training framework, Isle of Man Maritime training framework. It's been, I think, probably, as you say, the most successful training framework when compared to the UK, as an example. Within that training framework, we match the UK SMART funding for cadets or for trainees. Our dropout rate is...
So 58 Manx cadets, we had one leave the system, and only because they found out he was colorblind halfway through his training, which was very sad. But however, he is actually still in the maritime sector within crewing. So it is actually 100% if you compare it to the UK, which is actually 47%.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things, actually, the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency in the UK have just announced their report on their SMART funding. And they reckon that for every £1 invested in a cadet, they get £4.75 back into the economy at a future stage in life. So that isn't insignificant.
Yeah, and we are starting to see our Manx cadets coming back and working within the Steam Packet Company, Ramsey Shipyard, apprentices. So that's something I think really to end on quite a high note. And thank you very much. And thank you all for coming to the Isle of Man. Thank you.
Thank you.